Mm-hmm. All right. Hi. Hi, everyone. Let's see here. All right, cool. Hi. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. How's everyone today? Thumbs up? Thumbs down? Emotional check. It would be really weird if everyone was in a good mood. All right. Got some nice thumbs up. All right. Well, if you're not in a good mood, I'm sorry. You're not feeling well. Maybe you're just not turning on your camera if you're not feeling well. So, I just like looking at your faces. It makes me kind of happy. That's a different technique. I said, oh, it makes me happy to see your faces. And then you turn on your cameras. That's nice. All right. Okay. Give me a hot second here. I need to open up my PowerPoint. Okay. All right. So I was thinking the other day after our class. Yeah, so was the kitty. I was thinking about a little bit more about what are we doing in this ACI 8 course? And in the very end of the class, so let me just sort of fast forward all the way to the end, right? We're going to be studying and doing meditations on what is it about, basically how to practice getting ready for dying. Okay. Whoa, that's super. If anyone was in a good mood, now you might be in a bad mood. All right. We're going to get ready to die. Okay. And we're going to be going through some of the meditations on that, like how to prepare. Like, how does one prepare for, let's just be frank about it, for the inevitable. Okay. Oh, Tim, but aren't we supposed to be trying to get enlightened? Right? Right. You've been telling us this all along. Right. Aren't we supposed to be getting enlightened? Right. And now I'm saying, hey, we got to prepare for our inevitable death. What are you trying to tell us? And we have to think about it a little bit, right? We have to think about, like, oh, is it possible to become a being who can serve all beings? Is it possible to become like the Buddha, right? Is it possible to do that? But then we're also saying, well, now we have to prepare for this body, right? A backup plan. That's an interesting question. Is it a backup plan? Okay. And we have to think about it. We'll talk more about it, but the idea behind it would be, does this body, because it's born, have to get old and die? Right? Does it have to? Just because something is born, will it have to die? and we'll talk more about that later. We'll talk about what does that mean and what it doesn't mean. What does it mean for us to prepare for that for ourselves, right? But also, like, on a very practical level, while we're in this process of learning and changing our mind, changing our capacity to serve people, and frankly, changing the kind of body that can live as an enlightened being. Okay. This body cannot live as an enlightened being if you are who you look like you are. Okay. And then more practically, like, how do we help other people through the death process? If you've made it this far in life, maybe, you probably have had some people around you who have died, or at least you've known some people, right? And how can we be, in a way, like servants of that process? How can we guide people in that? How can we provide comfort to people in that? Right? Because it's a very delicate and emotional moment for people, right? Sorry, if you were in a good mood, I'm sorry. Maybe now you're thinking about all the people that may be around you who have died, or who are dying. Okay. But I think once we understand, a little bit more about the death process according to our ancient tradition, it doesn't have to be so scary, and it doesn't have to be so emotionally fraught with despair. And even, I remember right before I went into retreat, actually, I was standing behind that window, well, on the other side of the window right there, where all the cars are. And Venerable Phil, it was about maybe 2 years ago. I remember we were out at dinner, and he told me, he said, yeah, I'm getting a dog. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, Venerable Phil is like 85 years old. Okay. He actually lives right here in the next apartment over. He's my dog. Give him housing. He's old. He's lonely. Get it? My built-in karmic partner is right there. And no, I didn't have the motivation of having him move in because I need a karmic partner. Okay. Just happen to have the karma to have my karmic partners live right here. Makes it easier, right? I just can go over whenever. I don't have to go make a special trip to the nursing home, right? And actually, I don't think Venerable Phil is actually one of the least lonely people I know sometimes. Anyway, so I was talking to him, and he said, yeah, I'm getting a dog. Okay. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm thinking, oh my God, like, why? Like, why? And he said he was out to dinner with another friend, and that other friend was having challenges in their life and was making some commitment to change them. And then he started thinking about his own challenges, and he realized that he was sitting in his house by himself too much, and he wasn't taking care of others. So he went to the Humane Society and got the dog that nobody wanted. Cricket was already old. Cricket was blind, mostly. Cricket was deaf. Cricket didn't clean himself. Cricket was basically would go outside, pee and poop, and come back inside, right? well, actually a very lovely dog, right? But nobody wanted Cricket. So he took care of Cricket, right? And Cricket was so blind and so deaf, if he left the gate open, which was my fault because I didn't repair it, like I'd find Cricket in the middle of the road, just like standing there, like, lost, right? And, right before we went to Lam Rim 43 up in Diamond Mountain, he was going, I saw him outside. I saw him, and this is before I saw him outside, and he said, I was like, oh, who's taking care of Cricket? Because, he was going to be at Diamond Mountain for the 10 days, and then he was going to do a deep retreat with all of us. And he said, I think Cricket's dying. And I said, oh, what's going on? And Cricket, he's like, I think Cricket has kidney failure. She's not eating, she's not drinking anything. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And then next time I saw Venerable Phil getting out of the car, I walked up and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and there was the nod of, that was the end of Cricket. Cricket had moved on. And he looked at me, and, I gave him a big hug, and, we cried a little bit right out there, for Cricket. And then he said something really powerful to me. And he said, Tim, if I didn't have our practices, I'd be a total mess right now. He's like, yeah, I'm sad. And yeah, this is, I'm experiencing the grief of loss, the grief of separation. But I know what death is. I know what death will become for Cricket, and I know how to help Cricket through the death process. Right. So he was already thinking about how to care for Cricket, right? The Cricket that's now not here anymore. By the way, Geshe Michael's cafe used to be called Crickets, just as an aside. But, that's, for us, like, and for me, having this practice, how you can help somebody. How can you help the grieving, the people that are still here? And how can you help those that are passing on? And really, more importantly, how do you prepare yourself? I think the Ukrainian translator is having some challenges. Marina, could you check with Maria Freshchenko, please? So yeah, so how do we get prepared? How do we look in the mirror every day and say, today could be my last day. Today could be my last half day. This could be my last sunrise. This could be my last class, right? This could be my last sip of water from the infamous mug that everyone asks about. I'm not telling you about this mug. You'll figure it out later. It's not what most of you think it is. So yeah, like, how do we get ready? How do we pack our suitcases now? Right? How do I pack my suitcase right now? I'm watching the sunrise. It's beautiful morning here in Sedona. It's a cool 23 degrees Celsius. And it's going to get hot today, fine. But, today could be my last sunrise. This could be the last class you have with Tim. Right? This could be the last class that you're able to attend. Can you ever think like that? This could be the last class that this 114 people, I was looking at pictures from early Lam Rims, like 2010, 2011. And I remember in those classes, my teacher saying, somebody in this room will be the first one to die. Then the next person, then the next person. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, conceptually, I was like, oh, okay. I get that. I was looking at the pictures. Mark Salustro was in those pictures. There are people in those pictures who have died, who are no longer with us. And I was like, oh God, Geshe-la was right. And there's more than I thought. There's more than I thought. There will be a last class. There will be a last class. Whether it's your last class or your teacher's last class, right? There will be a last because there was a first. I'm just waiting for half of you to be like, I'm done. No, Mark Salustro is here. He's in this class. I was just, sorry, Saunders. Sorry to confuse you guys. I meant to say that Mark Salustro is here. He was in those pictures with me. He's here in the class, 13 years ago. Right? So yeah, how do we get ready? So let's pull ourselves out of let's pull ourselves out of the darkness of that a little bit, right? And let's think, well, what if you studied all the other classes, and if you haven't, we'll just give you the quick summary, the quick summary of what happens afterwards. Where are all the places that you could go afterwards? And what are those places like? And why would you want to go there, or why would you not want to go there? And how could you go there? That's even more fun. How could you go there? What kind of karmas would you want to put into place to go to a hell realm if you wanted to go? If you wanted to go and visit after this lifetime, what kind of things would you have to do? What kind of things would you have to do to become a preta, like a craving ghost or craving spirit, or to become one of the jealous pleasure beings, or one of the beings of the form realm or of the formless realm? What could you do to get there? And why would you want to go there? Or rather, why would you not want to go there? Why would you want to be one of those beings or not be one of those beings? And then to start thinking about looking around, what is the reality? For me, this is where this gets more real. I can't prove to you that there are other realms. Okay, there's a formless realm and there's a form realm, or that there are craving spirits or hell realms. I haven't directly, from this mind's point of view, I haven't figured it out. I haven't perceived it directly. But what would that look like if you start looking around your own world? I started, last night, I have, it's been really wet and cool this year, and I kind of let my garden become wild. I'm not into pest control or spraying for bugs. Luckily I have two Buddhists who live here as well, so they don't complain about the bugs either. But tenants that complain about having cockroaches. And I'm like, yeah, the cause for not having cockroaches is not by spraying them and killing them. If you've ever had a cockroach infestation, or you've had a bed bug infestation, you know, you've probably experienced that spraying doesn't usually take care of the problem. It might for a couple minutes. But the spraying could take care of the problem. But that's a different karma. But so anyway, I came home last night. I turned on the lights, and there were 2 cockroaches on the middle of the floor, right? They were just chilling out, right? You know, and I looked at them, and I was like, it was this weird moment. I was like, what's going on for them in their minds? What would it be like to be a cockroach? Now, can you imagine? And this is your homework for next class. Okay. Pick a bug, pick any animal that you look at, and ask yourself, what would it be like to be them? Okay, so imagine you're a cockroach. You're chilling out on the cool concrete floor, right? In the dark, doing your thing. All of a sudden, it gets bright. Okay, that's me turning on the lights, right? All of a sudden, your whole world is now illuminated for no reason at all. Okay, you don't even know why, but the lights turn on. What reaction do you have immediately? Right, Ananda, right? Immediately, you're probably filled, like your body goes into a fight or flight response. Okay. Immediately, you're filled with adrenaline. I don't know if cockroaches have adrenaline. They have some kind of hormone, right? That probably triggers them into fear. Right here. Excuse me. And then they just stand there. And then they feel, they feel these like vibrations in the floor, and if they're facing the same direction, they see a very large being walking towards them. Right now, what's happening? Probably some more fear, right? And then I look at them and I'm like, man, we need to take you outside. I'm not going to kill you. By the way, the karma not to have cockroaches is to care for them. Well, first of all, clean up your house. Okay. Just clean up your house. That's the first step. Okay. I know you want to be part of this, but clean up your house. Okay. Take care of that problem. But the other thing is like, just take care of them. And I'm like, all right, I need to take you outside. And they're very, very good at not moving when you're looking at them. But I learned when you're not looking at them, that's when they move. And they move really, really fast. And this particular group of cockroaches are very sensitive to I have little bug catching cups, right? To put right on top of them so I can take them outside. They're very sensitive to it and they can feel it coming and they run really fast, right? And the faster they're running, the more scared they look, right? Just imagine you see this big thing coming down on top of you. Probably what you're experiencing is, oh shit, imminent death. That cockroach thinks that I'm going to kill it and eat it for lunch. Then I get it finally caught if I get one. I got 2 last night. Then it runs around terrified, absolutely 100% terrified. It's not cute. Well, cockroaches really don't, I don't know. It's hard to find them cute. But it's not cute at all, right? It's absolutely terrifying, right? And that's the life that they live, right? That's the life they live. They probably are living, like, even when they find one little piece of cat food on the ground that I forgot to clean up and they eat it, like, they're probably just waiting. They're like always like, when's the next animal going to come eat me? You know, as humans, we don't typically worry about that too much. We don't worry about lions and tigers and birds. We don't worry about predators. Our greatest predator is ourselves. Like, we worry more about other humans killing us than actually being food for other people, for other animals, or sickness, right? We have the similar worries. Cockroaches and cats, they don't worry about, getting sick, right? My cats worry about getting eaten by coyotes, right? So they hear things outside, they run in, they get scared, right? We have similar worries. We worry about death. Our major fears are, illness, airplane accidents, car accidents, and other humans, right? War, right? Crime, those kinds of things. So, yeah, so take it as a homework assignment. Just start asking yourself, what is it like to be that cute little bunny outside, hopping around? Oh, look, I got a cute bunny in the yard. Right. So, Julia, I worried about that a lot about my cats. My cats are 20,000 times happier because they're outside. So I chose their temporary happiness over keeping them inside. I don't know. It's an interesting question. Anyway, but yeah, think about what it's like to be them. And then what would it be like to try to help them? Okay. Like, look at that cute bunny, right? That cute bunny is terrified of you. One of my cats lived on the street for many, many years before I adopted her. She was afraid of me. She thought I was going to hurt her. Right? Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're still going to be going through all the different kinds of beings that there are. And we're going to be going through, well, how do I get there? Right? And mainly, a lot of it, is once we get into our practices, we get into our book practices, we get into watching how we treat other people, and then we get into meditation. Like, once your meditation gets good, okay, we're going to switch. We're going to go more positive now. I can see you guys getting all sad over here. Let's go on the positive side. Once your meditation starts getting good, you start wanting more of it. If you've ever had the experience in meditation where your mind and your body just feel good, like the body is relaxed, there's no pain in the body. The mind is relaxed, there's no pain in the mind. Like, you're not thinking about your to-do list, you're not thinking about the person who yelled at you yesterday because they were being an asshole, because from their own side, right? You just get in a place of kind of a lower bliss, right? You're just hanging out. You're like, this is good, the good feeling of meditation. If you studied ACI 3, you would know about this, right? And hopefully, with traveling to the diamond world that some of you are doing, you're starting to meditate long enough. We're halfway through the year. We're almost at 30 minutes. I think we're just above 30 minutes. You're starting to get to the place where your body and mind can get there in meditation, right? And it's a good place to be. It feels nice. It feels lovely. It feels like, oh, I want to stay here. And there's some dangers to that. Okay. So yes, we use meditation to get our minds and bodies prepared to be able to have deeper realizations, like, I don't know, seeing emptiness directly, for example. Okay, let's just use that one, right? Preparing ourselves to be able to have that deeper experience, right? And if we go too far with that and don't understand the sort of nuances of those experiences that start happening to us, then we can start planting seeds, which are kind of neutral, but that aren't negative seeds that would take you to the lower realms. You see? Because what are you doing in meditation? Let me ask a different question. What are you not doing in meditation?
Creating karma.
Almost. Creating negative karma.
Negative karma.
Yeah. Right. Right. So you're not killing or stealing or lying or having affairs, sexual misconduct affairs. Okay. You're not speaking meaninglessly. You're not doing any of those things, right? So it's impossible to plant bad seeds when you're in good meditation. That's great, right? But there's also a danger to that. And that's also part of this class. There's a danger to that because then you can start planting seeds to create a different kind of being that is samsaric, that has to be born and has to die, but really isn't capable of practicing Dharma, isn't capable of reaching those higher motivations and those higher realizations to become an enlightened being. Because if you get into those meditations and you just stay there and you're just blissed out, like your body feels good, your mind feels good, and you just go subtler and subtler and subtler and subtler, right? Which is what the lion's dance meditation teaches us, if you've ever done that. That starts then planting the seeds to have a result in the form of formless realm. Because you're no longer attracted to the senses. You've withdrawn the senses, you've withdrawn this body's senses because they're a distraction, because they create negative emotions, because they create attachments, they create all of those things, right? But if you stayed there, and you haven't done any bad deeds because you've just been staying there, right? The results of those things can be a type of being that's just blissed out, like a form realm being, or even a formless realm being, because it's even more subtle. No body. We talked about this last time. Suk Mekong, going up, hanging out there. And because you're not attached to the senses, because you're not interested, you're not really even paying attention to other beings. You're not really caring for other beings. You're not having the experience in the form realm of a cockroach, or even being able to mentally think about a cockroach's experience or the little bunny rabbit's experience, right? You're not motivated to care for other people because you don't see it. You don't see it. I mean, how many people, like, even just think of like some humans, their life is so good, right? That they don't even see the suffering around them, and they don't even care about it because they don't perceive it. And so they're not motivated to practice, right? They don't have a motivation, right? They don't have that motivation. So they're just hanging out in their little like semi-deva realm, right? But then their body has to die eventually. Eventually they'll get sick. Eventually the people around them will start dying. And then it'd probably be too late for them to practice Dharma. Right? Or they'll just be so confused. So it'd be like, why is this even happening to me? And they can't, then they're just going to get angry. Right? I saw a video the other day in my middle of my jet lag because I couldn't do anything else. I got in an Instagram hole and just like flipping through videos. And it was the top 10 celebrities that you thought were cool, but are actually assholes. That was the video. Okay. And here I am enjoying watching this little news piece about why Tobey Maguire is not a good person. Our friendly neighborhood Superman says Spider-Man, right? And Tobey Maguire apparently doesn't like his fans. Apparently Sandra Bullock doesn't like her fans, right? I'm like, but I was watching this, a part of me was like, oh my God, I'm wasting my time. But I also was like, okay, this is perfect for class. Like I was trying to turn it into something useful, right? For you, I guess. And I was like, here are people who are worldwide famous, who are beautiful, who have tons of money. I mean, boatloads of money, right? And they're grumpy. They're not happy. You know, like the least you can do is to thank your fans, all the damn people that bought the movie ticket to watch you in the movie, right? That made you the gazillion dollars you have. A little bit of gratitude goes a long way. Tom Holland is really good at that, by the way. Another Spider-Man. Okay. But, these people are grumpy. Like, I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, I know what's wrong with you. Right. Those things don't make people happy, first of all. I remember asking Geshe Michael one day, I said, what's the karma to win the lottery? Then we won't have to do any fundraising. We don't have to write all these letters and beg people to give us money and, like, please give us $5 more. This costs us so much money. It costs so much money to run ACI. This is what I worry about at night. This is what keeps me up. I'm like, it costs so much money, right? And I was like, Geshe Michael, what if I just won, like 6 months ago was like $1 billion lottery. I'm like, gosh, look at this. Like, this could take care of all of our problems for like 3 generations, 4 generations. Then we could just teach the Dharma for free. I said, what's the karma for this? And he said, if you won the lottery, it would destroy our Dharma organization. And I was like, and he walked away. I hate when he does that to me. I hate when my teacher does it to me. And I do it to my students too. I'm like, think about it. And I was like, huh, would getting $1 billion from the lottery help us? Maybe. I wouldn't have to whine about, wouldn't have to go like writing these beautiful fundraising letters and whine to people about please support us. Please support us. Get it? These classes are free. Nothing is free. It always costs something. Help us fundraise. You know, and it's about value. What value are we creating for people, right? If people see the value, the money comes, don't worry. Right? And even if we didn't have money, we would still teach. So don't worry. Okay. But yeah, that doesn't create the happiness. Too much money could put you in a little bubble, right? So there's this space, and this is where I want to go today. There's this space between things being really good and things really sucking. Okay. I don't know how you translate that into all of your languages. By the way, our translators work for free. They bring you the Dharma for free. It is my goal to be able to pay translators, but I don't have any money to pay them. Get it? We need help. We always need help. But there's this space between things being really good and being really bad. Okay. And you guys, and you may have experienced this in your life, like when things are too bad, right? Like if I'm too sick or my body hurts too much, or I'm grieving the loss of, someone breaks up with me. Okay. I'm rolling my eyes. Okay. Or somebody close to me dies, right? That pain is oftentimes so deep and so intense that I can't practice. I can't think about emptiness. I can't think about what Venerable Phil needs next door when my back hurts too much, right? It's too much. I need support, right? I need help, right? Or I'm grieving too much, or I'm crying too much, right? And those times are scary for me because I know that I'm not able to think about other people, right? And then there's this other side where things are so good that you just kind of float along like you're walking on clouds, right? You win the lottery. I would hope that if I won the lottery, that I would stay as generous, as kind, as serving, and all the things that I think that I am, right? Or I'm trying to be. I would hope, right? But Geshe-la was very clear. He's like, that would destroy us, right? And I thought about it for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, it would take away, it may take away our desire to help people. because we're not in the sweet zone. Always just a little uncomfortable. And if you've ever had a teacher, their role is to make things just uncomfortable enough for you that you keep practicing. Yes, they're supposed to be generous, and yes, they're supposed to praise you and all this other stuff, right? And they do. Hopefully they do. But their role is to make you just enough uncomfortable that you're like, I need to plant some better seeds. You know, and if you guys watched The Magic of Empty Teachers this weekend, Earl talked about, you know, the things our teachers do that make us uncomfortable.
Yes. Yes.
Hi. So if it's just uncomfortable enough, it motivates. Like my retreat I did last month. Thank you, by the way, all of you that supported that deep retreat. I know many of you donated just little bits, and those little bits turned into $14,000. The Vietnamese group sent over several $1,000s together. Thank you for that. That made it possible for us to spend a month in retreat. It made it possible for us to have food, right? To hire chefs, right? To have fire ceremonies, to do all the things that we need to do in retreat. Okay. And that retreat was, I walked that line. Like my special Buddha gave me just enough pain that motivated me to practice. And I practiced a lot and I practiced well, right? It wasn't, it wasn't glory and bubbles and rainbows. There were moments, there were some very special moments. There were some very special depths. But there was always that little, it was uncomfortable enough, right? And so how do we ride that uncomfortable? How do we get there? So thank you all for supporting that, for those of you that supported that deep retreat. But how do we stay uncomfortable, right? How do we ride that? Because it's riding, like they call it riding the tiger, right? How do you ride that from here into enlightenment? And how do we prevent ourselves from falling into these other realms that we don't want to go to because they're impossible to practice in? It is impossible to be a cockroach and to meditate. It's impossible to be a bunny and meditate. Although I'm very suspicious about my cats in general, you know, it's impossible if you're not in a human realm and a special type of being in the human realm, okay? Right? Because there are plenty of humans. Let's not go to this whole like fictitious, or excuse me, all these beings that we don't know exist that we can't see. Let's just look at humans. How many humans have the capacity to even meditate? What kind of life do they have that allows them to be able to think about seeds and think about emptiness? How many humans? I'll tell you, the staff that I manage up at the hotel, many of them, I try to pay them as best as we can. And, you know, and I'm always trying to come up with ways to make more money so I can pay them better. But if you're living your life in a way where every moment is thinking about, do I have enough money? Do I have enough to support my family? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do I have enough for me? Right? You're not going to be able to meditate. You're not going to be able to think about karma and emptiness because you're just going to be thinking about your own survival. How many humans are only thinking about their own survival? Because they live in a situation that is tenuous, it's dangerous. Right? We don't have to go to all these other realms. Okay, I am totally not getting anywhere in this class in this homework, but I think this is important for us. Okay. It's a luxury, as Shanti says, to have the time and the resources to be able to think like this. Okay. It's a luxury. It's one of the steps of the Lam Rim. And a lot of work that ACI does, seed-wise, is to plant the seed so we can have that luxury, so others can have that luxury. Okay. You know, Mr. Bin in Vietnam makes it a requirement that people volunteer for social projects before they're allowed to volunteer for DCI. They have to go help build homes for people, fundraise and build homes for people before they're allowed to volunteer for DCI. I would love to do that in ACI, but then I'd lose half the volunteers. No, but think about it. Like, it's a requirement to be a volunteer in DCI. For Mr. Bin's world, you have to volunteer in social projects. It's beautiful. It's extremely beautiful. Because Mr. Bin knows that the only way you're going to have practitioners and to be able to get there is by taking care of those in need. Because if you don't, you will run out of the karma to be able to have that luxury, to have the time and resources. I'll say it again. The fact that you have the seed to have time and resources to be here in this class, that seed could wear out too. And time and resources also means a good mind and a good body. Right? Who's going to be the first person to die in this class? Sorry, guys. And it's not about age at all. I don't want to say the thing that came to my mind because I don't want it to be true. Okay. But that seed could wear out, and then you could become a human that can't practice. Okay. So there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do. But, and, if you had a feeling in that moment, right? A possibility, if you had a, oh shit feeling. Okay. If you had a feeling, that feeling can motivate you to practice. But when you practice, bring joy to it. Like turn it around and bring a kind of informed, logical faith to it, right? And then just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. Okay. Enjoy your service to other people. Does that mean that you like seeing people in suffering? Absolutely not. But let me tell you, when you're not feeling well and someone shows up and they just have a smile on their face, the last thing that you're thinking is, oh my God, they're enjoying my suffering. when someone shows up and genuinely cares and has a smile on their face, the last thing you think is, oh, they're enjoying my suffering. No, they feel connection, they feel warmth, they feel supported. That's the kind of joy to come with in your service. All right, so I talked about, now we're gonna blow through the material, okay? Get your notebooks out. We're gonna blow through this material. So today we're gonna talk about the form realms and the formless realms. Okay. And what are they like and how do we get there? So I already said it. Mainly, the way that you get to the form and formless realm as another rebirth is that you enter into deep states of meditation. You go, and then you become less and less attached to your sense organs, the senses of this body. And you're just like, you almost get disgusted by them because you just know that they're creating terrible karmas. And so then you just go subtler and subtler, deeper and deeper and deeper. And you don't think about it. You don't bring any wisdom. You don't bring any emptiness to it. You just go into these deep states of meditation where you don't plant bad karmas. And then, okay, so that's the cause. Okay, so that's called the causal form realm. Okay, you can go into the form realm in your mind. You're welcome, Barbara. Thank you. You can go into the form realm in your mind, in meditation. Okay, your body is still here hanging out. Eventually, you have to come out of meditation and poop and eat, and right. Okay, you got to do all those things, right? But you shut down your body mainly, right? And you go to these places. So they become causals. Those all become causes. Now, just as an aside, because I'm more interested in the asides, okay? We'll go there in a second. Okay, so there's lots of different kinds of results that come from these meditations. So depending on the level of meditation you get to, will determine which realm you're born into. Okay, so here's a list. I spent a lot of time on this chart. You guys ready? There's 4 levels to the form realm. Okay, I'm gonna, all right, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yay. Okay. All right, good. There are, that's form realm. Okay, that's a Tibetan for you guys. There are 3 parts of the first level: low, medium, high. There's 3 for the second: low, medium, high. Haha. There's 3 for the third. And there's 8 for the fourth. I don't know why there's 8 for the fourth one. Okay. So that's a total of 17. There's 17 different results that can happen from your causal meditations. So you can go into meditation, and depending on how deep you go and how long you chill out there, you can create one of these 17 different levels, okay? That's exciting. What's even more exciting? There are 4 levels to the formless realm. There's only 4, don't worry. The 4 don't have parts, okay? There's 17 parts in the form realm. There's 4 parts of the formless realm. Okay. And I'm just going to say them in Tibetan, and you can study it later in the reading. The first one is called Namka Taye. The second one is called Namshe Taye. Third one is called Chiang Mei. And the fourth one is called Sise. All right. You guys can look in the readings for the names for the homework. Okay. So basically, all of those are just results of your good meditation. All right. Mainly. Okay. And I say mainly because there's probably somewhere some other cause that I don't know about. All right. So you can't destroy me in the debate ground. Okay. Mainly that's the cause. So you can go to these deep, deep, deep states. And then the result will be a beautiful rebirth, right? Where in the form realm, you're not even, you're just enjoying everything, right? You might even have the capacity to emanate the things you want. Oh, I want an apple. Hey, there's an apple. Oh, there I want a girlfriend. There's a girlfriend. And then someone else emanates something and you can enjoy their emanation. Okay. No, the class is only an hour and a half. Right? So you're just enjoyment. Everything is enjoyable. Okay. Anything you can imagine that you want, you can, in some of those levels, you can emanate it, right? You can just create what you need, Has anyone ever gone to bed and wished that your college essay wrote itself? I did. Guess what? I have the karma for it now. It's called Chat GPT. Got it? I created the system that can write my essay for me overnight. Okay. Okay. Tech team, I think we should change this meeting and just turn off the waiting room. It's just a pain in the butt to have to allow people in the waiting room. We should turn that off for next time. So yes, now. Okay, now this is where I want to go for today. There is a particular form realm meditation that's actually something we want to get to. Let me go back to this slide here. Okay. Can you guys see my mouse on the screen? Okay. So the first level of the form realm, the first level of the first form realm, we want to get there. It's actually it's a preliminary level of that level. Okay. We just want to touch the form realm in our minds. We want our minds to get there. Just get there. Okay. Your senses have withdrawn mainly at that point. Your experience of your body is excellent. The experience of your mind is excellent. It's called Shin. If anyone can find an ACI 3, Shine, I think. Mental, stupid translation, mental and physical pliancy. Okay, I'm not making fun of Geshe Michael's translation because Geshe Michael will make fun of his own translation. What the hell is pliancy? Nobody uses that word in English, very rarely. Practiced ease, all right? Your body feels great, your mind feels great. Withdraw your senses, you get to the preliminary level of the first level of the form realm. And that's the level at which you can see emptiness directly. Okay. All you need is that. If you keep going deeper, you're just going to be creating the causes that could potentially ripen into a being that, yeah, it would be great to live in a world where I could emanate everything I want. Okay. as a samsaric being, because that being eventually has to die. Sure, I live a million years in bliss, eating apples and emanating all the partners that I ever wanted, and everyone's just having fun and petting the bunnies, and weather is amazing, you know, all those things, right? Body feels great, you know, don't have to work out, and I finally can have some muscles, right? Whatever I want, I have, right? But that being itself is samsaric. Eventually will wear out all of that good karma. And then bam, you're going to be ripening into some sort of hell realm or something like that. Okay. So it's not a good place to be, because you can't get out of it, because there's no motivation to get out of it. If you could get everything you wanted, like winning the lottery, and I could buy everything that I want, right? I mean, just imagine if you had all the money in the world, one of the things that could come up would be like, I don't know if I could trust any of my friends. Do they just want my money? Right? That could be a fear, right? So, but you just have everything you want. You know, great, but you don't have any motivation to get out of it. Get out of samsara, and that they're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about, Tim? If I showed up, right, and started talking about death in the realms of existence to a whole bunch of form realm beings, and I'm like, put your mind and, you know, look at a cockroach, look at a bunny, like, they're all going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? There are no cockroaches and bunnies here, right? The preliminary level of the first level of the form realm, Kimberly. Okay. So yeah, we want to get there in our minds, and then we could use that to see emptiness directly, right? Bring wisdom to it, right? How does one create a good meditation? How does one create a good meditation so they could have the meditative platform upon which to reach emptiness directly? This unifocal meditation that is characterized by the physical and mental bliss that occurs when one is fully accustomed to meditating. This Tibetan term literally means to remain in a state of stillness or peace. That sounds pretty close to me. I just read the comment. Okay. How do we get there? What's the seed? Okay. Maria says ethical lifestyle. Right. I don't know. Maybe the seed is building houses so you can be a DCI volunteer in Vietnam. Maybe helping other people have the same luxuries that you have to be able to practice. Maybe teaching Dharma. Okay, I don't know. Lots of things. That's where we want to get to. Once again. Okay. I'm going to answer this question really quickly. And it's just a technical question. And I'm just letting you guys know I'm doing exactly what Geshe Michael did in his class. Okay. He just blew through the material. Okay. So this is actually back to homework 1. There's a level called below none of the form realm. Okay. The highest level of the form realm is called below none. It's called Okmin, right? There's nothing below. There's nothing below none, meaning it's the highest. Okay. That's why we have a Ferris wheel here. The highest level of the form realm is called Okmin, below none. However, it's still in samsara, right? You could still fall off the Ferris wheel, right? If you're in below none, you're not afraid to fall off the Ferris wheel. but you still could. All right. There's another Oakman, which is called the paradise below none, Oakman Tukpokupa. And this is the Buddha paradise. Okay. All this is really saying is you'll see the word Oakman. You have to determine whether they're talking about the form realm Oakman or whether they're talking about the paradise version of it. Okay. The Buddha paradise. That's all that means. It's just a clarifying question. And it usually comes up in a debate. It might show up when you do your ACI, it's called a Maroc, where you get tested on all 15 courses of the ACI. Okay. It's like a final exam. There might be a debate question there. Okay. All right. That's all that's about. Yay. So you learned something cool. What is this picture about? That's funny. I have a really good picture, but I don't remember what it's about. This is amazing. What the hell was this one about? I don't know. I'm going to show you the picture and then you guys can tell me what it's about. I know what the picture is about, but I have no idea what the concept, I have no idea what I'm talking about. So this picture is about two people. Oh, I know what it's about. Now I know. Okay. Okay. God dang it. All right. My apologies. So this is a common experience in New York City. People come out of the subway. This happens to me all the time. You come out of the subway and you start looking around and you're like, where the hell am I? Which direction do I go in? I might know where I am, but I have no idea which exit I came out of. So do I have to go northeast, south, or west? Okay. And you see this a lot with tourists, right? And the reason I like this picture specifically is because this is not Chinatown, but I used to go to New York City. I took the Chinatown bus and I'd always arrive in the middle of Chinatown. And I was the only non-Chinese person in Chinatown. Okay. And I was like, I couldn't figure out where I needed to go. So it just reminded me of some really good memories. So why are we talking about this? Because this question is about where's the formless realm? Okay. Where's the formless realm? Where is it?
I would imagine that it isn't anywhere because there is no form.
Kind of.
Or it could be anywhere.
It can be anywhere. It's wherever you enter it. It's wherever, like everywhere and nowhere. Right, Anastasia, I like that. You die right now, and your meditation was so good. You go to the formless realm. It's just where you died. It's right there. Okay. It's just there. You see. That's why that picture is the people hanging out coming out of the subway of New York. Right. It's
I have a
just
question.
uh-huh.
Isn't that true for anywhere we take a rebirth?
No. Not always. Because and when you become a Bardo being, you can travel anywhere. You can move wherever your thought goes, you can go to. And we'll talk about this in just a second. It's a good question. Okay. All right. So, formless realm. What is that picture about? Okay. Now, all right. So you asked a really good question, Ella. Thank you, Shariputra, or Subhuti, depending on how you want to look at it. There are several types of birth that one can take. And this comes from the Abhidharma Kosha. Okay. It's a little bit, now with our understandings, they're a little bit different, but it's pretty close. So the first kind of birth you can take is from an egg. Okay. We know this. Here's a chicken laying some eggs, right? The second type of birth you can take is from a womb, right? Gestate within a womb, and then you're birthed from a body. Okay. There's a third type that we know is not quite the case anymore, but they call it birth from warmth and moisture. So the scientific observational capacity, they didn't have the capacity to see that all of these flies, it's hard to see them, but it's a bunch of flies in a swamp, came out of eggs, right? Hanging out in the water, right? But their observation was that when there was warmth and moisture, that some of these animals could be born, or some of these beings could be born. All right. And then the fourth one is, this is the best picture I could do for it, was your instantaneous birth as a complete being. Like, you don't have to come from an egg. The suffering of coming from an egg is suffering from coming from a womb, the suffering from warmth and moisture. You're just born. Okay. So there's some types of beings that are just born, like form realm beings, like formless realm beings, like hell beings. Okay. They've even talked about, like, does everyone remember who's the famous yogi who was born complete? Patanjali, right, Aldo? Patanjali, the Yoga Sutra author, was apparently born complete. Was the Buddha born complete? No, the Buddha was born from the womb of his mother. Why? Here's a good question. Why would a Buddha who's not suffering be born from a womb that created suffering? Because, birth is not painless, from what I understand. The whole birthing process is pretty complicated. Right. And Anna said it perfectly. It's the Buddha so there's two different versions of the Buddha story. The version of the story is, one, Siddhartha became the Buddha in his life, right? Studied, did all the things, became the Buddha. And then there's the other story that Siddhartha, the Buddha was already a Buddha, and then came to the earth and showed us how to become a Buddha by, lack of better words, pretending how to do it. Okay. Two different stories. Which one is correct? Okay. So, which types of births are considered better than others? So a complete birth is the best. From warmth and moisture is the next best. Birth from a womb is the next best. And the worst is an egg. Why? A complete birth hurts nobody. The second one, more warmth and moisture, doesn't hurt anybody else. The third one hurts. Then there's another once, and then once. The third one hurts yourself, or hurts once, like the mother, right? And then the last one is an egg, hurts twice. Okay. Because I guess the laying of the egg is one kind of pain, and then the birthing process is a second kind of pain. The other one, the birthing process, is everyone's being birthed at the same time. Like mom and baby are being birthed at the same time. So it's one pain, where an egg is twice, because the egg comes out and then hangs out, and then it at a different time, I guess. This is Abhidharma. Don't worry about it too much. Okay. But I think it's useful to think about, right? It's useful to think about the different types of birth and the pain of that. Birth, just thinking about how birth is painful is probably a good meditation. Okay. I made a fun chart for you guys. Spent a lot of time making this chart. Okay. So this is about birth. Okay. These three here, sorry, translators, I didn't have all the time to get this to you earlier. The first one is entering, which means entering the womb. Staying means staying in the womb. Like the time that you're hanging out in the womb, like growing, I guess. And then issuing, which is a very weird word, means coming out of the womb. Issuance is the English word. Maybe we should call it leaving, maybe. Okay. Issuing life, right? But anyway. Okay. So we have 4 types of beings, right? So here's the answer to many questions. Some people say, oh, well, why don't I remember myself from life to life, right? This is a big question that comes up in people's minds. Why don't I remember my previous lives? And why don't I take the memories of this life into the next life? Well, the answer is you can, if you're a type of being. All right. So there's 4 types of beings we're going to look at. Wheel-powered emperors. We're going to look at self-made Buddhas. We're going to look at Buddhas themselves. And then we have this strange category here of eggs. Okay. Those born of eggs. And you have to meditate on this, why this is. All right. So wheel-powered emperor is this type of being who can is naturally a leader who can take care of, who just can take care of lots of things naturally. Natural born leaders. Like, there's some people I've met in my life who are just wheel-powered emperors. They just take control and do a good job at it. Okay. Still samsaric beings, but they're pretty good leaders. So when they go into the womb, they remember, right? They're aware of what they're doing. Okay. But once they've been there for a little while, and when they're birthed, they have no more awareness. Okay. They lose it after they have awareness of entering, but staying and going out, gone. Okay. Self-made Buddhas. When they go in, which is not a Buddha, by the way. Okay. When they go into the womb, they have awareness. When they're hanging out in there, they have awareness of what they're doing. But when they pop out, boom, it goes away. Okay. Buddhas, guess what? All 3. Okay. So then you have to ask the question, well, are they really being born? I don't know. You can think about it. Okay. But the Buddha knows what they're doing. Okay, and then we have this weird category at the end. Beings born of eggs don't know anything. Okay. I would probably say that most samsaric beings fit into this category. Okay. You got to meditate on it, but you lose awareness of what you're doing, but from between death and your next rebirth, you just lose awareness. And we're going to talk about it a little bit later. All right. We'll talk about that a little bit later, about that awareness. How do we gain awareness? How can we gain awareness throughout that process so we can maintain our mind and the movement of our mind? Because the mind never stops moving. And if you did ACI 4, you know that the mind and body are separate substances. How does the mind keep moving on, right? And how do you maintain awareness in that death process to pop out on the other side? Okay. That's kind of that's what we're going to be going to. That's really cool. All right. Right. Self-made Buddhas aren't always Arya Bodhisattvas. No. A self-made Buddha is a being who's come into this world, who has tons of bhakti seeds from previous lives and having studied with many, many teachers, but doesn't have a teacher in this life. Take a screenshot of this slide. There you go, Sandra. Okay, cool. There you go. Yay, we got through all the content. I think, hold on. Oh, nope. I missed one question. We'll talk about that next time. Dang, I almost did it. Okay, cool. Thank you all for joining today. It's a pleasure to have you guys here. So we have a little, just before we leave, just really real quickly. We have an event coming up called Lamrim 44, which is such a stupid name. We have an event coming up called, what is it called? The Power, Aldo, what is it called? Power of a Good Heart. Okay. Aldo's our Spanish translator today. And this is the beginning of the Lojong from the Lamrim. And this is probably, for me, is one of the coolest Lamrims that we have, because it's extremely, extremely practical. How do we develop our compassion in the face of our suffering? It's kind of what we talked about today, right? How do we find that sweet zone? Ow. How do we find that sweet zone of just enough uncomfortable to keep going, right? To keep motivating our practice, and where it's not so uncomfortable that we can't, but it's not so nice that we forget, right? And this gives us really, really great practical advices. We also have an additional program on top of it. It's a 9-class series on how to develop your inner peace, given by ACI senior teachers. And it's a secondary, we have Geshe Michael's classes first, and then we have 2 additional classes, mainly per day, with ACI senior teachers. How practical advices. It's more of a symposium kind of type program, where we're going to be giving meditations, how those people are living their practice, not just the blah, blah. How are they living their practice? And then each of those classes will also have Q&A, so you can get all of your questions answered as well. And so this is happening starting in about 10 days or so in Mexico. We still have some rooms available. Get your visas and come. But if you can't do that, that's okay. We also have the online version as well. All classes will be streamed. All classes will be translated. We actually have a new language. We are now up to, I believe, 11 languages live. We have Italian starting at this event as well. So it's pretty cool. Like, we're growing, we're adding more and more offerings. We're trying to give more and more value to you during these programs. How can you live these teachings? How do you make it real for you? It's not just some book. It's not just some blah, blah you're listening to, but how do you live it? And that's what our goal is at ACI, you know, how to transform your life and how to help transform the lives of others. Sorry, translators, I didn't give enough space there. I watched your eyes get really big. Oops. All right. Looking forward to seeing you. Our next class is the 29th, which is Thursday. Looking forward to seeing all of you there. Also, thank you, translators, once again, for your dedicated service to spreading these teachings. Thank you to all the tech team, and we will see you on Thursday as well. Have a nice day. Please turn on your mics and say goodbye.
Bye.
Hasta luego.
Bye.
Muchas gracias. Buenas
bye，谢谢老师，再见。
老师，拜拜。
谢谢老师，
翻译，谢谢大
谢谢
家。
老师，拜拜。
Hasta luego.
谢谢大
Feliz
家，
día.
学习大
Adiós.
家。
Tim, thank
谢
you.
谢大家，谢谢翻译，谢谢老师。
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
谢谢
Thank
Tim 老师，
you
谢谢 Jenny 老师，
谢谢老师。Thank you，谢谢老师，夜梦吉祥。
谢谢老师，拜拜。
谢谢 Jenny 老师，谢谢 Tim 老师。
Oh, that just brings me joy. We should just join class and just do that. That's our Dharma practice. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.